think that it's very simple what's going on, but I thought I needed to look at this because, the Americans are in a state of shock when they see these crowds, And I have seen even American networks comment, how is this happening, they say? How are so many people turning up? Is this AI-generated footage? Oh, but we thought that there's going to be regime change. Regime change. Glenn Carl is with us this evening. Saurabh Shukla is with us this evening. Gerald Bakshi is with us this evening. Fawad Azadi of the University of Tehran is with us this evening. Mohammad Khatibi is with us this evening, right? And Milad Rabbani is also going to be joining us. He's joining us sometime now? Okay. So, and Michael Patrick Mulroy, former U.S. Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense for the Middle East under Donald Trump. Michael, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Why is Trump doing this again? Launching strikes again, using very offensive language, and having a go at it again? What is the need, and why is he doing this? What is this a reaction to?
So good to be with you, my fellow guests and your audience. I think it really came down to the fact that the memorandum of understanding was anything but a memorandum of understanding. It was, in fact, a misunderstanding, essentially on almost every component of it, including what opening the Strait of Hormuz means to us, and I think to most people. Being able to tell ships what they can and can't do to go through the strait, and then firing upon them if they don't follow your guidance, is in no way opening the strait. And I think that's become very clear to the U.S. And essentially one of the only things that the U.S. got out of the MoU, at least to start with. So right now, I think President Trump views this MoU as essentially worthless, and his only leverage is going to be one, to try to mitigate Iran's capability militarily to close the straits, and that these strikes were intended to do that, hitting coastal surveillance sites, small boats, and the missile sites, and then taking away the license for Iran to be able to sell its energy, which obviously was a big benefit for them from the MoU. And I think we're seeing more of movement that would say that the naval blockade is going to go back into place. So I think we're going to go back into this stalemate type situation that we were in before.
Okay, so Mr. Mulroy, I'd just like to take Dr. Fawad Azadi, who's joining us now from Tehran, for a response. Do you accept that, Dr. Azadi? Washington's story is simple. They are saying Iran hit 3 tankers. So America hit back, right? But if you look at the map, the story falls apart because the strikes did not stay at the Strait of Hormuz. They landed on port cities, on fishing piers, on military bases deep inside Iran. So if the retaliation for a ship attack becomes an 80-target assault on Iran, then it's not retaliation anymore. Trump says, I'm not retaliating proportionately. I want to punish Iran. This is a punishment hitting. And he's saying, I'm going to hit Iran very hard tonight. What's happened? Why is it fallen apart? Dr. Azadi.
He's upset. He's very upset because of the pictures that you are showing. He wants to take over Iranian oil. This is what he has said many times. A reporter asked him, why you want to take over Iranian oil? His answer was that I'm a businessman and I like to make money, which is an insult to your viewers who are businessmen. Being a businessman doesn't mean you take over other countries' resources or cheat people. It means you make a profit, proper profit. He's very upset. He wants to take over Iranian oil, and he looks at these pictures and he says, damn, what am I going to do with all these people? Because they're not going to allow me to take over their oil. This is his problem. And that's why he's upset. Under Article 5 of MoU, Iran has said that for 60 days there are going to be no tolls But the text is clear. It's under arrangement that Iran makes. The problem is that the U.S. wants to take over a Strait of Hormuz. And the U.S. wants to control the Strait of Hormuz. The other day, Trump said that this is a money-making machine. So now that he realizes that he cannot take over Iranian oil, he wants to make money out of the Strait of Hormuz. And that's not going to happen.
Dr. Zadi, that's one side of the story, isn't it? You see, the U.S. acted after, not before, Iran struck 3 commercial tankers. Am I right, Mohammad Khatibi? The U.S. acted after, not before, Iran struck 3 commercial tankers. So their argument is this is a self-defense response. We are not the first in the escalation cycle.
I think that Iran has said that in the MoU that it has the complete control over the strait, and it is the United States which is trying to implement a new corridor, the Omani side, and that is why those ships were targeted. And I don't think that Iran has taken the responsibility of attacking those ships because it is not known. The issue here is that the United States is violating the ceasefire agreement by carrying out operations against Iran, does not put a leash on Israelis on the issue of Lebanon, and also create a new corridor in the Strait of Hormuz. So this is the United States which is violating the terms of the agreement. And right now, Trump is claiming that the ceasefire is over. It was never been a ceasefire because since the announcement, the United States and Israel continued to carry out operations against Iran as well as
both sides, Saurabh, are accusing each other of insincerity, of not being sincere. Now, Iran's top negotiator, Ghalibaf, makes 5 specific U.S. violations of the MoU. He says, first, violating Iranian adjustments in the Strait, which is true. Second, persistent threat of further strikes, which is true. Reinstating of oil sanctions, which is true. Attacks on southern Iran, and continued Israeli aggression on Lebanon. Which one of these 5 specific American violations can you say is not true? Saurabh.
Arnab, I'll tell you what's happening, what I've gathered from our sources, both there on the ground and here in DC. There are 3 things which have happened. One, obviously, Iran, through its negotiators, had assured not only the US, but the global community that they will make sure that the Strait of Hormuz stays free. There will not be any violation, any attack of any kind in the Strait of Hormuz, which is an international waterway. They violated that big time. These were civilian ships which are passing through. I don't buy the argument, and I don't think my Iranian guest realizes that carving the Omanian side, the Strait of Hormuz is an international waterway, period. It has every ship, a merchant ship carrying oil or any other supplies, which is legitimate, has full right to pass through the ship. If you fire at that, that's a violation of the ceasefire, that's a violation of the MoU. And any other country has a full right to respond to that. That's one. Second thing, the IRGC are frustrated that they will be forced to give away the nuclear option. That's the reason why there is a certain section, there is a fractured Iranian leadership here, which one hand, the president wants to make a deal. There are other within.
Where is the fracture? No, 1 minute. Saurabh, where is the fractured Iranian people? Where is the divided Iranian leadership? Please show me. You see these visuals, Saurabh. You see these visuals, Saurabh. You see the same things I do. You see the same things I do. Can I get Milad on the left, please? Thank you. Milad, does Saurabh see the same visuals I do? I see an ocean of people. I say this is.
So nobody is denying that, but people are there. But
so
basically, is controlling. They have hijacked these negotiations. They don't want to give away the nuclear option. That's the bottom
Can
line.
I get Milad?
You have to realize
Milad?
that. They agreed to it during the negotiations. They have walked away. And
See,
that's the
Saurabh,
reason why
see,
this attack has happened.
Saurabh, I get Milad. Milad, you heard Saurabh?
Yeah.
Did you hear him, so Milad?
Yes, yes. Can you hear me?
What is this really about? I feel that Trump is overreacting to something. He's been provoked by something. And Trump is a very impulsive person, right? I feel personally, Saurabh, this is not about the fine-tuning of the MoU. He is damn angry when he sees the number of people who've turned up for the funeral of Khomeini. It is a fact. Milad, what do you think has happened? What's gone wrong? Why is the war back?
Thank you for having me, and I'm so happy to see you, Mr. Arnab, again. And after this, I need to go because today I'm super busy, and just I managed to dedicate a time for you, and I'm happy for that. What I can to tell you regarding of the question is I don't understand Trump actually totally, and the people who even we can understand Trump, but we cannot understand the people who choose and voted for him. And what kind of people choose this person as president? It's really confusing in the world of politics. And the other thing I can understand is there any advisor in Iran for Trump? Because they had the chance for a regime change, and he destroyed it, completely destroyed. And by that, he betrayed to the Iranian people and to any people who has a vow and promise for freedom of Iran. And Iranian regime, as I mentioned before first, this agreement actually is very, very fragile, and we are seeing now. I mentioned this more than 2 months ago. And regarding of the escalation of war, it's very obvious. It's very obvious this regime needs this war. This war is the philosophical concept of this regime. If this war is ended, what the hardliners in Iran, the Paydarchi groups, what they have, what they can deceive the people. But regarding of the Iranian regime, I believe they have three capability. With this three capability, Trump cannot do huge things. First, this regime can protect its borders. Second, they have the power to suppress the people. And third is they can prevent an international consensus against them. So the result is this regime can prevent Trump. And the only answer I have for these wars and conflicts from Trump's side is when there is fluctuation in the markets and you know the direction of these fluctuations, when you know when the price of oil goes up and when it comes down, you can make money for yourself. And I believe the only answer I can have for Trump that doing these stupid and crazy things is to make money for himself and the people who are around him. And they have an interest in that. That's what I believe. But, and
Glenn,
Mr. Arnab, if I leave...
Yeah, I do understand. Thank you, Milad. Thank you. Thank you, Milad.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Glenn and General Bakshi. So we are in a complicated situation now. Glenn Carl is a former senior U.S. intelligence officer, and everyone knows General Bakshi, one of the most respected defense experts. Mr. Carl, we were just getting a breather when things have gone back to square one. Has this happened too soon? Is this too reactionary? Now, Iran says that America revoked the oil sale license. And that was a violation of the MoU's Article 10. That seems to be the most important point for Iran. And America wouldn't have done that unless it realized that, things have to go under. So if Trump deliberately wants to sabotage the MoU, that's the first thing he would do is revoke the oil sale license. Right? Was there a need to do this?
The way I would look at this is the way I look at all international negotiations. For that matter, all negotiations, although in international ones, there's always the potential use of force and violence, where within a state, the states have the monopoly of violence, but between states, no. So one should expect that both parties will pursue their objectives despite any nominal agreement if they are able to continue to pursue their interests. Even parties that lose a war will agree to something and then try to define the agreement in such a way that preserves their own interests and allows them to be advanced. So that's really what's happening on both sides. And the Iranians realize that they have really pretty well cleared the board. They have won historic concessions from Trump because Trump is unwilling to use the means the United States does have, which would only be, frankly, American soldiers someplace on the ground to force Iran to change its policies. The agreements otherwise are secondary on both sides, and that's really what is happening. So Iran has the upper hand, and Trump realizes this and is in a bind because he doesn't have an easy way. He only has one way to really change the dynamic, and that way is unacceptable for him because the United States are unlikely to accept sustained casualties for a long period of time.
Yeah. You know, I was just comparing the two things out here, and I'm not saying this with any sense of disrespect to the American government, but there are two visuals which were very striking. And the two visuals that were there was the turnout, you know, millions of people turning out for Khomeini's funeral, which I believe, I may be right or wrong, everyone on, I want the visuals to play. It was as much a mourning for Ayatollah Khomeini as it potentially also looked to be a celebration of an Iranian victory against a country that claimed to be a superpower. And on the other hand, General Bakshi, I saw some very sad pictures coming in from Washington, different parts of America, when nobody turned up for the 250th birthday party of the United States of America because it got so politicized, America is so divided. There were pictures of hardly 200 or 300 people there when arrangements had been made for hundreds of thousands of people to gather in Washington. About 200 people turned up, and it was a complete embarrassment for Donald Trump. See, nationalism being at the core, I think there's something deeper driving all this, General Bakshi. But there's something very deep driving this.
On the 4th of July, listen, hang on. Let me fact check you on that. That's not true at all. So you may, obviously, this is a contrast in a very different scenario. So don't compare. On the 4th of July, there were a lot of people, despite the fact there was a thunderstorm here in DC and people turned up.
I'll tell you, I just want to,
you should have the onus should be on you to present the correct picture.
Thank you for attempting to fact check me. Just one minute. Thank you for saying that Trump's birthday party was successful. But let me just tell you one thing. General Bakshi, please, the visuals, please, General Bakshi is on. See, let's not be more loyal than the king out here. Everybody knows what happened in this 250th birthday party. It was an absolute spectacular failure. And I began by saying, no disrespect for the country, but the country is divided, confused. And do you think people in America are not seeing the visuals from Tehran? Even Fox News has been surprised and shocked at the number of people in Tehran. If you compare it to the population of Tehran, do you know, General Bakshi, what it is? Whatever the population, this is about 2 to 3% of the population of the country has turned up. I said 2 to 3% of the population of India is 30 million. Imagine 350. Imagine tomorrow if 35 million Indians got together in one place. It's huge. General Bakshi, something deeper is going on. I mean, Trump is really irritated at something, you know. What is going on here?
Arnab, I totally concur. The simple fact is that Donald Trump and Netanyahu were saying the people of Iran are just waiting to revolt, throw off this regime. Kindly have a look. How many Shah supporters do you see here? They are out in the millions, the people of Iran, showing they have rallied around the flag All that the American and Israeli strikes, murdering of the Ayatollah, his granddaughter, his wife and children, have achieved is to make the people of Iran rally around the flag. Arnab, I would like to put things in perspective. What is the first clause of the MoU? What does it state? It states the US, Iran and their allies declare an immediate and permanent end to this war on all fronts, including Lebanon, and agree not to use force or threaten force against each other and ensure territorial integrity and sovereignty of Lebanon. What was the first thing that was violated? Israel refused to accept this ceasefire. It has been doing its damn best to wreck this ceasefire from day one. Donald Trump said, no, I am in charge. I am the one who calls the shots. It is now quite clear who calls the shots. It is the Jewish Israeli lobby, the Zionist lobby that funds the elections of Donald Trump and the congressman who is calling shots in Washington. Donald Trump has been forced to resign from his ceasefire. But there is one bitter fact that I would like to state. Arna, please give me the chance to say that. Why was Donald Trump forced into accepting this ceasefire and MoU? The heads of the CEOs of the American oil companies, Chevron, ExxonMobil, etc., went to him and said, so far, all the nations of the world have staved off economic disaster by dipping into their strategic oil reserves. These are down to last 4 weeks. Before they sputter out, the world will have to replenish their strategic petroleum reserves. That means the demand for oil will suddenly surge and the price of oil could go up to $150 to $200 a barrel. That would spell doom, disaster, catastrophe for the global economy, including the American economy, including the Indian economy. It was Donald Trump, this logic, that forced him to go sign the MoU, go for a ceasefire, try and get the Gulf of Hormuz opened as soon as possible so that the world would not fall desperately short of oil. 22% of the global oil would not be off the shelves and spell not just a recession, but a global depression of the scale of 1928.
Now, if I look
For
at
God's
this,
sake,
Bakshi,
Arnab, we've got to wake up and smell the coffee.
If I'm looking forward right now, I'm just trying to understand what the Iranian mind is. I want to go to Dr. Rizadi once again, General Bakshi. Dr. Rizadi, my sense is that this public show of support is very important for the present leadership in Iran, right? One, there is no regime change. Two, the people have come out in very large numbers. It's a massive show of nationalism in Iran. And if I combine that with the present response, which has just come, Glenn, Iran has just responded to Trump. And you know what the response is? Iran is saying, we are fully ready to fully control the Hormuz Strait now. We will control the Strait of Hormuz. We will strike the number of targets that you hit. And we will open the strait according to our own arrangements. So now it's over. Now, what do you see happening next from the Iranian side, Dr. Rizadi? And if America takes the war to an all-new level, are you prepared?
Yes, you had these leaks by the U.S. intelligence community. We had the New York Times, Washington Post reporting that at the end of the war, Iran had kept 70% of its missile capacity in the last few months. That has increased, so Iran's ability to defend itself is quite extensive. And this is the problem that the Americans and Israelis had. They thought Iran is weak. Iran is weaker in comparison to, say, 3 or 4 years ago, but Iran is not weak. Iran has the ability to defend itself. And I think this time around, everybody in Iran realizes that there is no diplomatic solution after Iran giving Trump an off-ramp and him not using it. And I think Iran's response is going to be much more forceful. I think the oil installations in the southern part of the Persian Gulf, the installations that have American investment will be hit in a manner that they will not be able to fix it for at least 2 or 3 years, making sure that oil prices are going to stay up, as the general said, $150, $200 for at least 2-3 years. This is going to be Iran's response. Let me also remind you that we had about 40-degree temperature, very hot summer in Iran as normal. The Iranian weather is close to Indian weather. And we had millions of people coming out and celebrating. I agree with you, Arnab. They are mourning and celebrating the fact that Iran was able to withstand pressure from 2 nuclear regimes. And they did not have any limitations. They hit schools, they hit hospitals, they hit roads. It is Trump that said they hit about $2 trillion worth of infrastructure damage, civilian, mostly civilian. So this is a celebration. There is a culture of resistance in Iran. 1979 revolution was a popular revolution. And after 47 years, you see these people coming out. This is what Netanyahu asked the Iranians to do, to come to the streets in millions, and they did, but they're shouting against Netanyahu and Trump. These two men have managed to unite Iranians more than any Iranian politician could ever do. So if I were Trump, I would do America first. This is not America's war. This is an Israeli operation using American soldiers. Israel is trying to create a hegemony here so Israel can push the countries of this region around. You see how Netanyahu is talking about Turkey. And they want to use this region resources to push independent large countries like India around. They don't like big countries. They don't like powerful countries. They want to use the resources of the Persian Gulf. Next time India wants to have an independent foreign policy, Trump would say that we will cut down the amount of oil that India can import from the Persian Gulf. So Iran is fighting for Iran. Iran is fighting for India. Iran is fighting for the civilized world. Americans are fighting for Israel and the Epstein class. And this is what you are seeing on your television screens. The Epstein class is not going to be able to control Iran.
There are people who believe, those who are on the American side, Glenn, that Iran is incapable of de-escalation. What we are hearing tonight, Glenn, is a more assertive Iran. More assertive, more confident, more confident perhaps in the fact that it has been able to execute a large show of public support.
Yes, and let me remind you that the Strait of Hormuz is not international waters. These are Iranian territorial waters. You read the UN Convention on Law of Seas. Countries get 12 miles of territorial waters and 12 miles of contiguous zone.
No. Are you saying that you think?
Altogether.
No. See, we are concerned because oil prices are up by 6%. Billions are wiped out. We are concerned about the supply chain. We are concerned about the global business. And let me tell you, this is not a two-way street. I mean, the whole world is concerned. But can Trump afford this? Aren't the midterms coming very precariously close, Mr. Kahl? Does he not have other factors to look at? By Trump's own admission, the low oil price was buying him time. It was getting better for him politically. He should have looked at the domestic economy, the domestic situation, but that he's tripped on something. He's really got angry at something. And my only feeling is it's those pictures of the Khomeini funeral. It seems he's not listening to reason anymore.
Yeah, I don't go quite to the pictures of the funeral, although they are a rebuff to everything Trump has claimed. But anyone who's paid any attention for the past decade shouldn't take what Trump says except as positional statements, really. What's happened is that he is in a bind. The military actions short of engaging ground forces actually to overthrow the Iranian regime did not work. And in fact, America succeeded, as the gentleman before said, I agree with at least this part of his comments, in bringing the Iranian regime more stability, frankly. It was on the edge, overwhelmingly repudiated and detested by the Iranian people. And today it represents the Iranian nation and civilization attacked from without. And in almost all circumstances, all peoples rally to the flag, as it were, when they are threatened from outside. So Trump is in a bind because
But you see that poster there, Glenn, kill Trump.
You
know, the poster there. See, there are 2.5 million people carrying this poster. Kill Trump. You know, and you have 70 countries, including the most important countries of the world, the most significant, China, Russia, India, you know, even Iraq sent a big delegation, and they were the Iraqi delegation with whom Iran has fought a war for years. They were seen sobbing out there at the funeral. So somewhere they've had this diplomatic show of strength, public show of strength.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that's irritating Trump a lot.
Well, it is, but he really doesn't care about anything but himself. So what really irritates him is that closing the straits increases strains economically and threatens him domestically. And as you say, rightly, the American elections are approaching in November, and indications are negative for Trump and the Republicans. That's what's driving him. Of course, it is insulting to him or hurtful, embarrassing to Trump that there's such a large demonstration of solidarity for the Iranian regime. But I'll point out that the Americans have succeeded for a second time in 25 years in engaging in a war in the Middle East with the express objective of pushing back Iranian influence with the actual consequence of having extended
Iranian influence
in the region.
Has Iranian influence, just picking up on your description of Iranian influence, General Bakshi, gone down or up? My sense is, when I see this, what happened over the last few days leading up to tomorrow, I believe global Iranian influence has gone up, and legitimacy for Iran's actions has gone up. I haven't seen this kind of support for America. You
are spot on, Arnab. Look at what Professor Robert Pape, Professor Mearsheimer, Professor Jeffrey Sachs, well-read American pundits of geopolitics are saying. Iran has emerged much stronger from this war than it had started. It now has control over the Gulf of Hormuz, and that is thanks to geography. You can't change geography of the Gulf. The entire northern coast of the Gulf is the Iranian shore, lined with cliffs. You can't change that geography. Donald Trump will have to put minimum 200,000 troops just to secure the coastline. And that could lead to fighting, as per the leaks given by Pentagon to the Washington Post. 18 months of fighting, 15 to 20,000 body bags. Can the United States afford it in a midterm election here? Whom are you trying to kid? You want to do a regime change when America had to attack Iraq. It had to put in 750,000 boots on the ground. Gulf War I, 1991. Iran is 4 times the size of Iraq. Iraq was flat desert terrain. The Abrams could go anywhere. This is Zagros Mountains, Elburz Mountains. Give us military men a break, man. We know our basics. You can't fool the rest of the world.
Yeah.
Do you have 1 million troops to throw at Iran? You don't. In a month of Sundays, you don't. It was stupid to start a war based on the fact that air power alone would get you a regime change.
Also equally, and look at that graph there, ladies and gentlemen, that's the viewership right now, which shows the moment we start the debate, you see the streaming traffic, so many people following this debate across India. You see that graph there. It tells me, Mohammad Khatibi, that people are concerned in India and across the country, people watching this debate are concerned. But my question to you, Mr. Khatibi, is America, does it have more support because Egypt, Qatar, Jordan, Kuwait jointly condemning your attacks? Oman, which is a traditional Iran-friendly mediator, is also taking a very strong line against you.
I think the blame should be put on United States, and I think these countries are trying to pressure the United States because they are burning because of the United States, and they are being attacked because of the United States bases in the region. Iran is not trying to invade any of these countries. Iran acted rationally during the war, as seen during the war. Iran opened up the street for non-hostile nations, including India, Turkey, and others. It didn't target these countries because it has animosity against them, but because the U.S. bases are stationed there, and the United States is using those bases to target Iran. Iran cannot sit back and watch its infrastructure to be destroyed. Iran cannot sit back and watch thousands of people, school children, to be killed. And Iran wants to say, enough is enough. Iran will not bow down to United States maximalist demands because the people, as you said, in millions turned out and demanded the government and the state to retaliate. And
it's a, sorry to interrupt, because limited time, I want to go back once to Saurabh and then wrap up with Dr. Rezadi. You know, what I'm learning here is, it's a classic study of diplomacy and statecraft and geostrategy. It's an individual dealing with a state, the individual being Trump and the state being Iran. Iran is responding as a nation, as a government, in a more certain way, in a more, you could say, canny way, in a more steady way. And look at where they've come. They've come to a point where they've got a lot of international support. Those they don't have open support from support them through clandestine means, right? They have emerged stronger. And look at those images of water being sprayed on millions of people, 2.5 million people turning out. See, Saurabh, you shouldn't. It's been, Saurabh, you remember where we were on the 28th of February? On the 28th of February, Saurabh, 28th of February, on the unfortunate day when Ayatollah Khomeini was killed, you and many people felt it was over in 4 to 5 days, right? Quick in and out. It didn't happen.
Absolutely. And I stand here, and I say in front of everybody, I agree with General Bakshi that there have been certain tactical errors here. And I can tell you that on the public front, the fact that the United States could not deploy troops on the ground, because obviously President Trump had his compulsions, has led to this. Because a lot of people, the groundswell of support of pro-democracy, anti-regime protesters, which was there earlier, was quelled in the first few days. So certainly you see here a country which obviously has got united because of the fact that you could not get those people who were supporting democracy to support them, because of the fact that there was no option to send in ground troops. And the reality is, even today, President Trump, with the midterm approaching so fast, the party leaders telling him that
you know what will happen to the energy crisis. You know what will happen to the energy crisis as Europe prepares for winter? You see, now this point was made here. You've got to accept here that the Iranians are a very resilient people, right? You can imagine this? The weather in Tehran just maybe around, maybe even hotter than Delhi is right now, right? And so many people turning up. So, okay, let me give 30 seconds to Mr. Rezadi, right? give me your prediction for the next couple of days. If, in a brief nugget, if Iran gets hit very badly tonight and people get killed, what will the Iranian government do?
They have no other choice. These are politicians, elected politicians. The parliament speaker is elected. The president is elected by these people. You see all these red flags. You may not be able to see the writings on the flags. They ask for revenge. And if the United States continues these type of attacks, Iranian politicians have no other choice but to respond in a manner to satisfy these people, and they're going to do that.
So my sense is thank you for that. My sense is things are going to get worse. I think we all need to steady our ships. Not good news for India. We're facing a lot of financial difficulty on the forex front, on the markets front. We were just about to get out of it. Not good.
Absolutely. For nobody. And
it's not good. I'm very concerned, but I think it's being handled very recklessly by Trump. And I think the American government, state machinery, which has over years, they have institutions to control this kind of recklessness. What's happened to them? What's happened to America? I mean, you find this was a country that was so steady, it was almost unpredictable. And now you have this Kash Patel type FBI, you have Trump type presidency, Pete Hegseth type Department of War or whatever it is. It's very worrying. I thank you all very much. Thank you all very much for joining us tonight. As they say, there's an old Paul Robeson song, we're in the same boat, brother. At the end of the day, we're in the same boat, brother. And ironically, it was a great American singer who sang that. I'll take a break. When I'm back tonight, why we are